The views and opinions expressed on this podcast is not a direct reflection of the host and his guest's current or previous employers. The topics and hot takes discussed are meant to create conversations while offering a different perspective to current issues in the strength and conditioning industry. The opinions shared on this podcast are not meant to demean or offend anyone. However, as my grandfather used to say, a hit dog will holler. Thank you and enjoy the show. This podcast is sponsored by Simply Faster. Simply Faster is an educational resource and an open platform for coaches to share best practices and firsthand insights while providing peerless technology, equipment, and service.
What's up? Come on in. My name is Coach Jeremy Walden, strength coach at Judson High School. Let me show you the weight room. We got 15 racks. On the right side, usually we come in this door right here. We got 5 racks on the right, 5 half racks on the right side. At each rack, we have your 45s, your 25s, your 10s. We have a hamstring roller right here that we use every day, almost every day, for the posterior chain, as well as single leg things. We have on the back of all the half racks, we have hex bars. We use those hex bars for hex bar jumps, for deadlifts, and it helps keep the spine in a neutral position. We have power blocks at every single station. These are your fancy power blocks. And then we have a kettlebell station that's on the back. You can go on and take a walk, continue to look around this other side. 4 bars at each station. Yeah, they're kind of rusty, but that's because it gets a little moist in here. So we wipe down the bars every day when we come into the weight room. On the left side of each rack, we have the Diamond J facing up on the med balls. That's a little detail-oriented thing we try to do with the teams. And each station is designed for us to be able to stay at your station and not have to leave for anything else. So, hypothetically speaking, we can have somebody on the backside working on the dumbbells. We can have somebody working with the red roller. We can have somebody working here inside the rack. That's the handy-dandy board right there. Sometimes we have workouts in Rack Coach, and we use the TV up at the screen. Sometimes we just go old school, and I just have to write things down. This is also my time where I become a scientist, and I write down everything that I need them to understand, and sometimes concepts that can't necessarily be explained up there, well, write them down and go old school. But I love the old school, but I just can't get rid of my board. I can't get rid of my board. No matter how much technology we have, I got to keep that board. So the same thing, these racks are all identical with most of the equipment back here on the back side. And then these are the double half racks. We have 5 double halves set up almost exactly the same way with your power blocks for each station. And as you walk through here, we have our open area. In our open area, we have 5 posterior chain developers. I always tell the kids, if I were to get rid of everything in the weight room, I would keep these and power blocks because posterior chain is super important. We try to keep them neat, try to keep them clean and wiped down. Over here, we have our 5 cable columns. My cable columns, we're able to do a variation of exercises. And then the way things work usually, and it just depends on the day, depends on the size of the group. Sometimes we'll go from one exercise here to the next exercise here, and then move in a linear pattern. So this would be an example of another, so you would finish 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, exercise 4, and exercise 5. So you could have 5 people in one group working across the weight room, and that's just a different variation of how we can do exercise. We have to be creative because sometimes we have a lot of athletes in the weight room, and when we have a lot of athletes, we have to be creative and organized with our approach. This is another exercise modification. This is the leg press. I'm on a leg press machine. I used to be against the leg press until I saw how many kids got injured and how many kids didn't show up when they got hurt. So I want people to be able to still work out when they're hurt, right? It helps them to feel included as a part of the team. And this is our leg press machine. And that's pretty much a quick synopsis of the weight room. This is my domain. That's it.
cool.
Welcome everybody to season 1, episode 1 of TheCrocShow. Today we have a very special guest to me, man. Without this person, I wouldn't have the job that I have today. So before this young man introduces himself, I want to start off with a nice hot take, okay? Who has the bigger egos, head strength coaches or football coaches?
Football coaches.
Whoa. Coming in hot. No, but before we get started, I want this young man to introduce himself. I couldn't do it justice, going through his resume and everything. And so I want Coach Jeremy Walden, go ahead and tell the people any relevant information about yourself and what you've done to get to this point and what you're currently doing.
All right, my name is Jeremy Walden. I'm a strength coach here at Judson High School. Before that, the position kind of transitioned itself from Judson ISD, strength and conditioning coordinator, to now being just the strength and conditioning coordinator for one high school. So I'm here at Judson High School now. Before that, it was Judson ISD strength coach. Before that, I did this privately. I was a private strength coach because there's a lot of things I didn't like about the industry, and I kind of wanted to control my own narrative. And before that, I was with UTSA as an intern. And before that, I was actually in a whole different field. So I was a nurse. So I'm walking backwards in as far as chronology. I was a nurse, still am a nurse. I just don't practice as a nurse. A pediatric nurse, and before pediatrics, I was a burn nurse. And when I was a burn nurse, I was actually in the U.S. Army. So I was a master fitness trainer / nurse in the U.S. Army.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate you. And then before that, I was a medic in the Army. And then if you go even before the Army, I was in the Army for 9 years. If you go before then, I wouldn't call myself a strength coach. I acted in a strength coach capacity minus the credentials. So I was more like a neighborhood trainer type guy. I had pretty decent knowledge, but I coached high school sports, and then I trained on the side. So I was a head freshman football coach, and then assistant girls basketball coach, head freshman girls basketball coach, and assistants on the varsity level. So pretty much ever since my playing career ended, I've been coaching in a way, shape, or form. So that's kind of a backwards chronology of how it's
been. For sure. Well, again, thank you for your service. 9 years in the U.S. Army. I'm an Army brat myself.
I didn't even know that.
So look, we learning stuff already. So you talked about being in nursing and stuff, and still being in that field, but just not practicing. How would you say being a nurse has prepared you for being a strength coach, more specifically a high school strength coach? Because you talk about high school athletes, you got to be delicate with their needs and their feelings, and in nursing it's kind of the similar thing. So how would you say serving in the U.S. Army for 9 years and just being around that has helped you as a strength and conditioning coach?
I'm glad you say that, because I'm not going to be politically correct. So I'm going to get your show canceled on the first episode.
Hey, I'm on. Okay.
So I'm not like the most politically correct guy, and I'm sympathetic, but I'm glad that I've done things before. I continue to work out on a daily basis. I continue, obviously I've seen, combat. I've seen people in the worst of conditions. So being in the ICU as a nurse, and the burn ward as a nurse, seeing kids who are really, really, really messed up orthopedically or respiratory wise, and even obviously in combat, seeing the things that I saw in combat, I know what pain looks like. So I'm sorry you have a sprained ankle, but you are fine. You can do something. You can come into the weight room and do something. Not only can you do something, I know exactly what you can do. Let me see your doctor's orders. Bring it back. You know what I'm saying? I'll get them uploaded, take them to the athletic trainer, and come see me. Not only that, I can have detailed conversations with the athletic trainers. All right, let me see All right, he had knee surgery. That's great. He's on crutches. That's great. He's still got another leg and a whole upper body.
Upper body works
so
just fine.
as long as he's not on narcotics, then we're good. You know, and I kind of did that even at UTSA. There's a guy in the NFL now playing for the he bounces around. He's with the Cardinals. His name's Kevin Strong, defensive tackle, 300-pounder. He had come in off of surgery, and they were really aggressive. And I didn't know the strength coach world yet, so I'm like, oh well, I'm sure y'all give him some time. And Coach Philo over at UTSA was like, nah, man, like this is a dude. So like we need to get him back ASAP. So right after his surgery, as soon as he got off the narcotics, we had him in the weight room, still in a sling, doing everything. Single arm, press, we're doing lower body, getting him in the pit shark, holding on with one arm. And then that's kind of when I realized that it's okay to have my approach that I have, that like it's okay. And it's unpopular, but as long as I'm willing to, I'm not gonna break a doctor's order, I'm not gonna injure a kid further. And then on top of that, I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody, whether it's coach, whether it's parent, whether it's athlete, on, I believe what I'm doing is helpful for the athlete, you know what I'm saying?
No, and that's huge, man. I'm the same way, not trying to be politically correct. I feel like a lot of kids these days, man, they don't fall off their bikes and bump their ass anymore. They don't scrape the elbows. So you think about kids coming into basically into the high school level from middle school where they haven't been told, hey, we're lifting weights 2-3 times a week. And because they don't lift weights, they're gonna get sore. Shout out to Coach Wagner up at UT Arlington. She told me this. She was like, you don't get sore from lifting weights. You get sore from not lifting. And to the average person,
don't get me started.
Hey, listen, the average person will hear that and be like, that's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. You get, every time I work out the next day or two, I get sore. And it's like, that's because you don't work out consistently. I tell the kids the same thing. Like, if you play baseball and you haven't swung a baseball bat in 3, 4, 5 months, and you go out there on the first day of practice and you swing that baseball bat 40, 50, 60 times in a practice, your shoulders and core is gonna be pretty sore the next day. It's not that baseball is just so intensive that's why you're sore. It's the fact that you've been sitting on your butt all summer and then you picked up the baseball bat in October, November. And so
100%.
I definitely feel that. I have this thing, man, like you were talking about, the sympathy and empathy for kids. Like there's always something you can do. And one thing that I do is I love it, but I hate doing it, is chasing kids out the training room. Because those kids will go outside and do some skill stuff. Tweak my ankle. Cool. So you walk from the soccer field all the way to the training room to tell them that my ankle hurts because I stepped on somebody's foot and turned it over. And we're in the weight room at the time, and you think sitting in the training room is going to expedite your recovery. And like you were saying with like the kids and stuff, it's like you've seen real trauma. You were a 15, 16-year-old athlete who stepped on somebody's foot and rolled an ankle, acting as if you need to have that leg amputated and you can't do anything. Whereas you're coming from a world where, like, I've seen people fighting for their life.
Right. And that's the thing. It's literally like I've seen, and they, if anybody from that knew me in the military was listening, they'd be like, he don't care about that either. Because sometimes I'd be like, hey man, you got shot, but it's a through and through, man. You'll be all right. So like, but honestly, I try to be. I understand that I've rolled my ankle before. It does hurt. It hurts. So when you just roll your ankle, we had a kid roll her ankle. She was jogging out to the field, and she rolled her ankle on a rock, and she rolled it so good she needed surgery. Right. But if she's on that little scooter and she comes in here, she hits the corner, and I'm like, we still need to work the quads. We still need to get your hamstrings together on that good leg. The bad leg, I'll leave alone. She's still in the cast, you know. But if you're going to be a varsity thrower and you want to come back this season, do you think that the other schools are going to have sympathy on you because you rolled your ankle running out? Nobody cares about your story. And that's the man, I'm about to get on my soapbox. So I'm a parent, and part of I think the problem is the parents, right? It could be a part of the solution as well, but a lot of parents are used to babying their child, right? We hate to see our kids in pain. Let's be real. We hate to see our kids in pain. So when they say, hey mom, like I rolled my ankle, it's really hurting, they're in tears, or they call you from the school, hey, I rolled my ankle, can you come pick me up? coach still wants me to do. No, not the same day. You just rolled your ankle. Let's go get it assessed and figure out what it is. Did you tear a ligament? Is it a grade 1? You know what I mean? So we figure out what it is. But once the parents have to understand that we're knowledgeable, we're educated, and we are sympathetic. But as we say in the military and as we said in the medical world, the person who treats you should be a person who likes you and doesn't love you. You know why? Because the person who loves you is going to say, oh, well, you have this issue. I'm gonna pat it real nice and real easy. And sometimes I gotta treat you a little bit rougher. Yeah. Not necessarily to hurt you, obviously not to hurt you, but I can't treat you with that same tenderness because it won't ever get better. You know? Sure. So yes, you're gonna be in discomfort. Yeah, it may put you in a tear. It may bring a tear to your eyes or two. But one thing we won't do is regress. We're not going backwards. We'll get better. And then at the end, hopefully you're competing. You came here to play sports, right? Yeah. Not necessarily came to the school, but you came to athletics because you said you were an athlete. Yeah. You said you wanted to compete. And you say you want to compete at the highest possible level that you can compete at. So if that's JV, but you want to be the best JV thrower that there is, right? The best JV thrower in the school, best JV thrower in the district, blah, blah, blah. But, back to my soapbox, the parents have to give them to us, and yes, we can communicate. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you exactly, where we're at and what we're doing, and athletic training will do the same. But you can't keep pulling them back and pulling them back. For sure. You definitely can't keep babying them, so.
And what's ironic about that is a lot of the parents today were the parents who grew up like bumping their butts, falling off their bike, and like being told to like, hey, look, like I remember my mom. I remember one time I was, 10 years old. I was at the park. I cut up my elbow, had a little blood running. I went home and mom was like, hey, look, you can either wash that off, go back and play, or you can stay inside. I was at the age of like, I'm not about to, all my boys at the park, I'm not about to stay inside. And I feel like nowadays it's like, the parents are kind of, like you said, like, okay, we gotta love on you and everything, but it's like, hey, look, son, you was playing, you fell, you scraped up your elbow, that's not life-threatening. And if we're being completely honest, once you wash the wound and cover it, you being a nurse, you know this all too well. Once you wash the wound and cover it, like, get back out there, right? Now, afterwards, we gotta make sure it doesn't get infected and the wound is clean, but like in the moment, like, hey, look, you got a decision to make. You can either come inside and stay inside, or you can clean this off and go back out. And so it's ironic that a lot of the parents grew up in that generation, but now they're on the other side of, my child rolled his ankle in practice, I took him to the ER, the doctor said no physical activity for 2 or 3 weeks.
Of course the doctor's gonna say that though. And that's the thing too, is they're like, the doctor said this. Yes, I respect doctors, obviously I respect doctors, but coming from my field that I was in, I understand that doctors don't want to be liable. So if you come to me and you say, hey, I rolled my ankle, and I'm a doctor, I'm not going to put any doctors out there, but I've worked for doctors before who didn't work out, didn't understand sports. So they say, oh, you hurt your ankle? Well, what were you doing? And then you hear this maybe exaggerated story about what their coach is doing. It may even be true what their coach is doing. But they say, you know what? We'll have our hands on you. So as this doctor's office or this medical practice, we're going to take you all the way out of the game. Because I don't know what a strength coach is. I don't know what a strength coach can do. All I know is lifting weights. And heavy weights, and that's always what they say. We no heavy weights, no lifting weights, no running, no jumping. You know what? Let's just take you out and let your ankle heal all the way. And they never go the opposite way and say, all right, cool. Hey, that ankle, you're saying that ankle's hurt. We'll do an MRI, an X-ray, and figure out what's wrong with it. Now we'll put you on a rehab plan to get you back onto the field. It's more exclusive than it is inclusive. You know what I'm saying? So
and that's why athletic trainers tell the kids, come and see us. Don't go and see the doctor. And so, speaking in that realm, how would you say your relationship is with your athletic trainers in regards to, any type of return to play? Because I think that the old school athletic trainer is like, you come in, you're injured, grab an ice pack, go sit up. That I ban ice bags from the weight room. I ban injured athletes. Because I want the weight room to be a place where like, we're gonna come in here and we're gonna train, we're gonna get better. You can't train and get better with an ice bag on your knee because you got tendonitis. I tell my kids all the time, like, man, y'all too young to be this banged up. Like, oh, my back hurts and this hurts. Son, you're 16 years old. It is only going to get worse. That's what I tell the kids all the time. And so, how is it with your athletic training? You know, obviously this being somewhat of a new position, your ATs were here, the athletic trainers were here long before strength coaches. You know, so they have a way of doing things, but obviously, like we talked about, you know, you come in with that rolled ankle, there's still things that you can do, right? And so if they go through the doctor, there's not much you can do, but if they go through your AT, then they can kind of get some type of solution. So how does your process and everything work as far as, you know, a kid is at practice, they roll an ankle, get hurt, but then they're supposed to come into the weight room and lift. How does that process work for you?
It's pretty much, if you're injured, you're either with the athletic trainers or with us in the weight room, with me in the weight room. The sport coaches are here. So if you play softball, the softball coach is in the weight room.
Yeah.
When your team is in the weight room. So if a kid is, let's say a kid needs treatment, right? We'll give an example of a AC sprain or something like that. Well, they'll have a treatment plan that they do either before or after school. If that athlete can't make it, maybe they have ride issues or something like that, then they do that during the athletic period, but they do that in the beginning, and then they come to me for a modified exercise, or a modified workout. So we've had our issues with chasing kids out of the weight room. I mean, out of the training room. But I think we have a pretty decent culture now. Our athletic trainers are nice. They're good, and they're nice.
Yeah,
they don't yell like I do.
That's good. Good cop, bad cop.
Exactly, it's good cop, bad cop. So I'm the bad cop, where I go into the weight room, into the training room, and I will clear out the training room. Hey, what's your issue? Why you sleep? All right, cool. Come on. Why are you not dressed? Oh, because you had treatment. You still need to get dressed for treatment. Go get dressed. And then after your treatment, you come into the weight room. You have 18 minutes to get that done. You know what I mean? So, and it's only because they need them to understand to find a way in. Volleyball has these new shirts that they just got because they wanted to quote something that I said. And that's the quote they decided was find your way in. Yeah, because it's easy to find a way out. I can find a reason not to show up to work.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Right? I mean, I love my job, but I can find reasons.
It was a little too cold.
Yeah, exactly. It's too cold. Hey, that bed felt good this morning. I can find a reason not to work out. I can find a reason not to eat healthy. You can find a way out. And that's really easy to do. So find your way in. You know what I mean? Figure it out.
And and it's funny because I say the same thing. I tell my kids, like, we got to be a group, we got to have to be a team that finds ways in, not ways out. And like you said, there's always going to be an excuse that you can use to not show up and do your best. And so something you said earlier, you know, when you're in the weight room, your coaches are in there. How is that, having the sport coaches in the weight room while they're training? Because I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been on the Coach Croc has them. Cool, Coach Croc, you got him. I'm gonna go pull up my phone in the back corner and be a fly on the wall. But then I've also had the other side of the coin where, Coach Croc, what do we have today? What are we doing? Like, what do you need me to be? What do you need me to do? The ones that are, you know, just as involved and, you know, motivated to see their kids in the weight room and train with you. And then you also have your extremes, right? You have your, like, hey, what are y'all doing? Where's y'all's coach at? Like, oh, I don't know where my coach is at. Where are we supposed to be? Y'all know on Mondays we got weight room days, so y'all should be outside. And then you have the other extreme where it's like, hey, coach, we're not spotting cleans. I need you to back up. I need you to back up, take your hands away from his elbows, right? Or the classic, coach, what are we doing here? I don't need you to push on his low back to keep his chest up. We don't spot. First of all, we don't spot trap bar deadlift.
Right.
Second, get away. Right. Hey. So how do you treat, you know?
I ain't gonna throw a school out there, but there's a school who was doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of schools.
I ain't gonna throw nobody out there.
I appreciate that. There's a lot of schools, man.
There's a lot of schools.
But how do you handle, you know, the coaches being in the weight room with their athletes training? Because it can be good and bad.
It's been a transition period, to be honest. And when I first started, not gonna lie to you, my approach was more, let me have them get out the way. And
that was me.
Is that ego? Yes and no. I do know what I'm doing, but more importantly, I need to break these bad habits, and I don't need you around because you created these bad habits, right?
Sure.
Imagine if you had me coach a soccer team, right? And I know a little bit about soccer. I've seen it on TV. I know you can kick the ball. I figure I can YouTube some stuff, and I'm not a soccer. I've never played on a soccer team before. So if a real soccer coach came in, a credentialed soccer coach came in and said, "Hey, I got this. You need to watch me. Can you step off on the side and watch me? Why you do that? Why
Take
do you
that
do
whistle
that?"
off.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's how I felt taking over the weight room. Was like, I feel like people have kinesiology degrees. They know what they've done before as athletes. They've seen this before, but they don't do this for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's the best kind of way to explain it. It's like, I kind of tell people whenever they question me, I'm like, nah, hey bro, like I do this for real. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's the thing. So when I came in, it was like, hey, everybody get out the way. Just give me your kids. Go away. I don't care if you go to your office. Don't do. You know what I'm saying? Just let me have them and give me a schedule on how often I'm going to have them. But what happened was it became like you said, it became a free for all where coaches would come in and now I'm babysitting. Now I got 6 injured kids. I got 4 kids who trying to roam the hallways and escape the workout because they're not about that life. They're trying to slide. And then I got, some really high energetic kids who, I need to tame and break down a little bit, who are putting 245 on power clean. And I'm like, oh, we're not there yet, And so, and I'm like, where's your coach at? Where's your coach? And it's only because, hey, coach, I need a set of eyes for this group. I need your assistant coach so I can get another set of eyes on this group, and let me handle this third group right here. Or I got 2 groups in there. I got softball and I have baseball at the same time. Similar workout, but hey, I really need to work for baseball right now. Softball is rolling. Hey, look up there on the screen and get them going. So it became a transition where now I wanted the sport coaches in there, and I've been here for 2 years. The first year was with the ISD. I didn't have as much time with the actual athletes at the school, but now we're in year 2 of actually just Judson High School, where now I can hone in on teaching the coaches what to do. And then here's another thing: is the exercise library was huge. So. Some of the coaches kind of pointed that out. I'm like, bro, I don't know what you're doing, so how can I help you? You know what I'm saying? One day it's back squat, and you want to pause for 2 seconds at the bottom. The next day we're doing front squat, or the next week we're doing front squat, and you're saying elbows up, and then you switch it to front foot elevated, reverse lunge, front squat grip, and then they're like, that's too much, For me, I'm like, front foot elevated, reverse squat, front squat grip. What do you not understand? You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, all right, let me shorten my exercise library so that they can understand, what are the most important fundamental movements, and then what do I need to say? And so I had to kind of narrow down my coaching cues as well, because I know the coaches, I'll do it. Once again, the same analogy. If I'm coaching soccer and I hear you say, hey, plant foot down. I'm just making up something right now. But if you say plant foot down, then I'm gonna be like, all right, he says plant foot down every time. All right, cool. Hey, plant foot down. Plant foot down. So
echo the call.
Exactly. And so now I need them to echo my call. So it's been a transition period where I had to gain that trust for them. I think they gave me trust right away for the most part. And then I needed
to been happy that somebody was here that was knowledgeable and experienced. To take over this scary weight room.
Exactly. But now we're at a point where I can say, hey coach, hey, workout A. Bring your computer. I can text the coach, bring your computer, workout A. And I'll come in here and they'll be running workout A on the big TV, and soccer will be in the back putting workout B on the small TV, and they understand what's going on. So it's been a transition, man, but I had to trust them, to be honest with you, and get them, I guess on the same page as me.
And it's I think it's hard, man. Like strength coaches and sport coaches, I think we're wired similarly, but we do have a big difference in that we coach movement. It's an exercise, but it's a movement pattern. That's what we're coaching. And so we're kind of like a chameleon where like you can take a strength coach and put him in a sport and we'll be able to figure it out, because when in doubt, echo. You know, like you said, in your soccer analogy, hey, we're gonna practice corner kicks. Hey, let's go line up for corner kicks. Let's go. That's how we're wired. Whereas sport coaches might be like, hey, we're going in the weight room. We're teaching, the hip hinge so that way we can learn clean pulls. And they'll be like, all right, cool. I don't know what a hip hinge is, so I'm just gonna shut everything off and just not listen because it's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar. And so I get that. And something I struggled with is coaching coaches. And I'm not talking about when they're hip hinging, make sure their feet are hip width apart, right? I'm not talking about coaching that. I'm talking about like, if it looks wrong, it probably is wrong. Like if you're looking at a kid hip hinge and their back is rounded and you're like, hey coach, that don't look right, then you're probably right. Like your antennas are probably picking up the right signal, but that's something I used to struggle with, is just like coaching coaches and like, because they'll all tell you like, hey, I'm not a strength coach. Well, let me correct myself. A majority of them will say, hey, I'm not a strength coach. I don't know anything about that. You'll get the couple like you said, hey, I study kinesiology. It's like, cool. But I used to struggle with it because I used to sit here and think to myself, like, why do I have to tell you to coach that kid? Like, if you're sitting there watching a kid do something and it looks wrong to you, but you don't say anything, I shouldn't have to then say like, hey coach, we're doing a half kneeling landmine press, right knees down, right arm presses. Why is that person's right knee up and they're pressing with their right arm? And truth be told, it's probably because they weren't listening at the beginning of the workout when you explained it. But that's something I'm definitely getting better at. Like you said, it's the supervision. It's giving coaches the responsibility. Hey, look, I got these 6 injured kids and they can't do anything. Cool. Here's a core workout that's going to make their stomach hurt, but give them something to do. Like take them over to the corner and just wear them out. And then that 6 sometimes will turn into 4 because some other 2 is like, hell, I might as well just go work out. But yeah, the supervision is important. I'm definitely a big CYA guy. But then also making sure, I feel like it helps you understand like what kind of coaches you have and how invested they are. Because if you get that coach that's like, hey, we're in the weight room and they're in their weight room from the beginning to the end and they're just echoing what you're saying, it's like, hey, this coach, they may not get it, but they get the importance of what we're doing and they understand how this can be a game changer for us. And then like you said, you get the other coaches where they're just kind of like, hey, my team's in the weight room, here you go. If you need me, coach, I'll be in the office. Or somebody didn't even tell you, they just dip. You just look up and it's like, okay.
And that's what I noticed. Those coaches are the ones who are uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable with the weight room. Some of them struggle with, let's be real, some of them struggle with their weight. Some of them struggle with self-confidence. These are human beings, you know what I'm saying? So they're like, man, look, I don't like being in the weight room because I suck in the weight room. I suck in the weight room.
And I don't work out myself.
Exactly.
So like,
I don't work out. I'm 240 pounds of, solid fat. I can just play baseball. You know what I'm saying? Like I was really good at baseball and I know baseball. Our baseball coach, I'm not firing shots. He's not big at all. But I'm just, kind of picking an example though. So I've realized that it is discomfort, right? But it also, pardon the term, but like if you're gonna be an asshole, like I was to an extent, and you say like, hey look, I got him. All right, bro, you got him? Bet, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So like I kind of did that myself, and I had to understand that, all right, bro, look in the mirror and understand that it wasn't condescending in how I approached it, but at the same time, if you say you got him and you tell him you're not giving me any instructions whatsoever, how am I supposed to coach with you? You know what I mean? So like now, part of the deal is, hey coach, you got these 2 racks, we're doing front squats on these 4 racks. Can you get these 4? Because this is your O-line right here. So, hey, you got the O-line, you got the D-line. And Coach Soto helps a lot with that. He assigns coaches racks. So he helps you, man. So we're like a collegiate strength coach program where I am running the entire workout. We got indoor, outdoor. I may be outside while the big boys are in the weight room. You know what I'm saying? But I have enough coaches where, all right, cool, you're lead coach, Coach Webb. And you got them. I'll be outside, timing flying tens. You know what I'm saying? Or managing flying tens. And so, but when you empower them, they're smart people. You know what I'm saying? And they're capable people. And if you weren't here, somebody would be running some kind of strength coach program. It might not be as effective or as as thought as not thought provoking, but kind of like well thought out and planned because they have other responsibilities. So it's been a learning experience, man. I used to get upset because I was seeing coaches. I talked to you about it. They're writing plays on the whiteboard, and I'm like, my mercury is rising really quick, and I'm about to erase everything off that whiteboard.
Yeah, you got your linebackers on the whiteboard talking about run fits and stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to catch clean,
right.
Sure guys don't get hurt.
Exactly. So that was a huge issue. But no, we're good now. We're square. It's just been a learning experience. I was never even really frustrated with it.
Yeah.
It was just, how do I make this process better? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they wanted to be better. Nobody wants to lose. You know what I'm saying? So like, they're like, man, we got a strength coach. I don't think they were in opposition of having a strength coach. It was just like, man, all right, he's asking us to be in the weight room now. So I guess there's a reason for it.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So we've done pretty well with that, man, to be honest with you.
I definitely was that Kobe Bryant type, like give me the ball and get out of my way. And over time, I realized like, okay, I'm better off, I guess passing the ball to my teammates, giving them responsibility. That's huge though, that your head football coach assigns coaches recs. I think that was the other issue, is that like when you take over a program and you're building a program and everything, coaches kind of have their hands in their pockets because they don't really know what to do. And when you're the head strength coach, it's up to you to say like, hey, I'm going to give y'all responsibility. Because like you said earlier, if you just say like, hey, I got these guys, I'm going to run it. Well, some coaches need to be told what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't say know how to function, but it's almost like, hey, unless you tell me and give me responsibility, I'm gonna just do whatever I feel comfortable doing. And for a lot of them, it's pulling that phone out and just scrolling, right? But then it's like, you didn't give anybody any responsibility. So, again, this goes back to, I feel like strength coaches are wired differently. I don't know anything about volleyball, but if you throw me out there at a volleyball practice, like, hey coach, what you need me to do? What do you need me to be? I'll shag balls. You know what I'm saying? And we have coaches like that too, that they may not know anything to do, how to coach and everything, but they're over there helping change weight. And stuff like that helps expedite the process and helps with like building the culture, because now, something about kids and counting weight and putting it on the bar, it's just like trigonometry for them. No matter how many weight loading charts you have, no matter how many times you tell them that this is a 45-pound bar, you add 2.5, it's gonna end in a 0. So like none of that matters, right? And so like, that's good stuff, and I'm glad that both of us are kind of working through that, because there are coaches that do feel uncomfortable being in the weight room, and I mean, I'm not a good golfer, so you're not gonna catch me on the weekends working on my golf game, right? And I'm sure as heck not gonna be out there working on my golf game in front of 50, 60 people. So when you talk about being in a weight room with 50 kids, 4 or 5 coaches in there, you're talking about less than half, coaches included, kind of have a general idea of what's going on. Because you do have those kids that are like quick learners, but they want to be there. Yes, we got a strength coach here, I want to train, I want to get stronger. So they're gonna listen to everything you say. Similar to coaches, oh my gosh, we have somebody in here who knows what they're doing. Let me piggyback, and see and learn everything that he's doing. So I definitely think that that's good. And I think that having the coaches in the weight room is good, because then from a CYA standpoint, somebody gets hurt, so this happened, you have somebody to back you.
CYA is huge, man. We've had issues that weren't really issues because of the fact that we had other eyes, other adult eyes in here. You know what I mean? Other adults who were present in the moment and not just looking down at their phones. You know what I'm saying? So,
for sure.
It's definitely CYA for sure.
So the beginning of the podcast, I asked you who had bigger egos. Emphatically, you said football coaches.
Quickly.
I want to preface this, right? I do think that your best coaches that we say are successful, ones that win a lot of games, have a lot of retention in their programs that graduate a lot of kids, make good grades, that's from high school and college. I do think that there is a little bit of ego, and I think that when you look at the greats, if you name, best college football coach, right? Nick Saban. You can't tell me Nick Saban ain't got a little bit of ego, right? Best NBA basketball coach, right? Greg Popovich. Can't tell me he got a lot of ego, right? So I do think that having a little bit of ego is good, and it's what makes great coaches great. But I do think that the deadly combination of that strength coach and that head football coach, man, it's a battle of the minds, and sometimes, you know, the egos come out. But, you know, you said football coaches. Where do you think that the football coaches get their ego from, in a sense? And I ask that because as a strength coach, you got to work with that head football coach.
Yeah.
And as a head football coach, you're the leader of a program that probably has, you know, depending on your 6A high school, so you got 150 kids in your football program, more than any other school or any other program, on top of 14 assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a little bit of knuck if you buck, you know what I'm saying? So why would you say that, you know, the football coaches, you know, have a little bit bigger ego than the strength coaches?
I think they have to, just like you said, for a man, whether you're in high school, whether you're in little league, college, pro, to command the attention of 100 guys, type A, strong, athletic, egotistical football players, right? And this is I can go on and on about why football players are like this, myself included, is that these athletes are worshipped from the time that you are 5 years old and you have a talent and you play a sport that's highly entertaining in America. You're lauded, and I'm talking about the athletes themselves, they're lauded and put on a pedestal, right? Especially the good ones. And now as a football coach, I have to come in and get not only the currents, but the formers and the coaches, right? I gotta get 14 coaches on the same page, as well as these 100 rambunctious, egotistical boys for the most part, and get them all on the same page. And I gotta get them to humble myself. So I gotta be a type A personality as a head football coach. And I'd say it's more type A is what you have to be, right? Now, when you do have a basic knowledge of, if you're a head football coach, you've definitely been an offensive or a defensive coordinator, right? And not only that, but especially on the high school level, you probably have had some strength and conditioning experience, because how many people have had strength and conditioning coaches up until the past 3 to 5 years, right, on the high school level? So, all right, I have been the head strength coach and the defensive coordinator, and I know what we've done when we went 10-2 and went into the second round of the playoffs at this school. I know what we did when I played and we won a state championship back in '98. I know what we've done when I went to college and, you know, I was the conference player of the year, and this is what I did in the weight room in order to do that, right? So once again, you're talking basic knowledge, and then sometimes even an extended knowledge of what a strength program looks like at the high school level or even collegiate level as a football coach, right? And I'm not just saying that high school coaches are like this, and there's not shots fired to Soto or, you know, anything like that, right? Because I've dealt with several football coaches. I'm speaking as a whole. This is what football coaches have to be, right? And football coaches are, they know what they kind of have to have an idea and way less questions. They can't really come to you and say, hey, strength coach, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? They're usually like, hey, I got a general idea. We got pushed around a little bit in that playoffs game. I ain't like that, man. We were looking, you know, undersized, oversized. We're looking a little fat, a little undersized, and I feel like we need to get stronger. Right? We're a little slow to the edge this year, man. I'd like to have a lot more speed. You know, hey, man, our running backs and our skills are getting caught from behind about 25% of the plays this year, man. I'd like to work on speed this offseason. So they have usually some answers on what they want done. They usually don't come with a lot of questions. And when that happens, sometimes they're like, so I'd like to see more wickets. I'd like to see more sleds. I'd like to see more weight on the sleds. And sometimes it's like, hey, why do you want more weight on the sleds? Are you aware that when you put more weight on the sleds, that form can break down? Are you aware that if you want more sets, that I go off of I'm looking at specifics on my reps and sets, and it's based off percentages. And you know what I mean? There's not just more work, and that's something that I think a lot of it's always a process. We've talked about this before. You got a team, and they say, hey, I want everybody working. Hey, coach, hey, they need rest time if you want maximal effort. It's scientific.
Yeah, it's scientifically proven.
Right.
Like, if you're hitting 5 sets of 2 at 85, working up to 90%, you should probably give them a little bit more than 30 seconds of rest.
Exactly. And that, man, it's a constant battle because we're dealing with time constraints with high school athletes, right? Well, in high school and collegiate. And shoot, probably even in the pros, you're dealing with the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We only have 45 minutes to lift, and yes, you have to lift all 120. You know what I mean? How are you going to get that? So I'd like to go 5 sets of 2 and have 90 seconds to 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes of rest in between. But one, at a high school level, you got behavioral issues, right? Kids gonna be walking around slapping each other on the butt and spraying water on each other. And now you gotta kick them out. Now you gotta, you know what I'm saying? And so football coaches, coaches period, might say, hey, look, man, I want everybody working.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how are we ever gonna get stronger if I never give the kids rest time?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always a constant battle. Like, here's the science of it, man. You want them to get stronger. Here's the science of how you get stronger.
Yeah.
I went to school for this, and I always say this. I hate to say it, but I do this for real. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
I can get them stronger, 100%. Let me have them though. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me to add more weight on the sleds.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want the recipe, the ending outcome to be, and I can even walk you through the process of how we get there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I think they want their program to be a certain way. And let's be honest, in America, period, whenever you have a football program, you are under the gun to perform.
Yeah.
People want to be entertained. You can't go 2-8, man. You can't go 2-8, bro. You're not gonna have that job for long. You know what I'm saying? So like, they're under the gun. Hey man, we went 7-3 last year, but we lost our quarterbacks, and you know now
we turned in 5 stars.
Exactly. So
this team's gonna be even better next year.
So the gun is on them. So I say ego in the fact that you know sometimes the approach is a little ugly. I'm not sensitive, so I can deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the approach is there. Sometimes they think they know what they're talking about, and they don't. Yeah. And I say that for football, but I say that for every coach. You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me you want this, and I'm telling you that ain't gonna work, bro. Yeah. That ain't
actions
science.
and words. You're telling me you want to get bigger, stronger, faster, but you want to give me 15 minutes in the weight room once a week.
Right. That's not gonna happen, bro. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I just let them talk, and I'm not even gonna argue with you. I'm just gonna let you talk.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you my recommendation. I'm not gonna tell you you're not very, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
I'm saying in my head.
Right, but at the same time, I say this a lot. I don't tell you how many linebackers you need on the field.
Yeah.
I know football.
Yeah.
I know football, and I know basketball.
4th and 1, you might want to get that extra DB out and put that linebacker or somebody.
I don't tell you how to run your defense.
Yeah.
Don't try to tell me specifics on how I should get your athlete stronger or faster. You know what I'm saying? I've been telling them, I ain't tell you how to break that press that was busting your ass on Friday night.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's something that I struggle with. Like, early in my career was like, people say the age-old expression, like, stay in your lane, right? And as a strength coach, we want to say stay in your lane, but then kind of like what you were saying about the football coach, like, you're in charge of so many people, and especially in Texas high school football, like, you can't have too many losing seasons before somebody's like, hey man, let's get somebody in here that can quote unquote win. And so I think that as a strength coach, it's important to have a little bit of grace and patience, but then I also feel like it's important to like poke your chest out and, like you said, like, hey, I do this, right? So coaches hate hearing that, and that's how you know you're dealing with egos. Is when it's like, man, we got pushed around this past Friday, or Tuesday we couldn't get a rebound to save our life. We need to do something different in the weight room, and it's like, hey, I don't come to practice. You see all these kids sitting around not doing anything. They start offering, hey coach, you guys should be working this whole time. Why are they on the sideline chilling? And so I think that it's and that's why I compared like the strength coaches and the football coaches' egos, because as strength coaches, we're the same way.
Oh yeah.
You come to me and say, hey, you don't have to tell me anything. It's off season. I want my guys to work out 3 times a week. Cool. If I'm working with baseball, which I know doesn't begin in January, or boys soccer, which doesn't start practicing until November after Thanksgiving break. Like, if I know these things, I don't need you to tell me how to train them for off season.
Yeah.
You give me your team, you give me the times a week that they're coming in, the amount of time they're coming in, and then you let me cook, get out the way. And that's why I said like egos. But with that being said, you know, being in Texas, you know, they always say Texas high school football is king. And we've had this conversation before. You gotta be BFFs with the head football coach.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, especially in Texas, your head football coach is typically either your athletic director or the boys coordinator. And typically it's boys coordinator 1A, girls coordinator 1B. I think primarily because boys coordinator is the head football coach. Your football team is probably the biggest, they don't have to be the most successful, but they don't do homecoming during basketball season or during soccer season. It's during football season, right? And so I think it's important that you got that good rapport with your relationship, and this segues into my next question about how do you win over that head football coach to essentially let you cook and let you do what you're here to do? Because if the head football coach doesn't like you and all the other coaches do, that can be a tough job, man, because that head football coach, he has the pulse, you know, he has the ear of the athletic director or school board or whatever. So if the head football coach doesn't like you, it's going to be a tough job. But if it's the other way, and the head football coach loves you, and everybody on the girl side despises you, you can still rock and you can still have your job. So how do you go about building that level of trust and that relationship with the head football coach, especially knowing that, you know, he's kind of at the top of, you know, all the coaches that you work with?
I'll start by saying this: I don't give a damn if they like me or not, and
So
I hate to say that. I hate to say it because it's not that I don't care about this job. I love this job. Let me be very clear and say, like, I love what I do. I'm in here at 6 in the morning and I leave at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. every day, 5 days a week. I'm here shooting the other days, the Tuesdays and Fridays. I'm at football games, I'm at basketball games, and I'm not just watching and observing the game. I'm straightening up things. I've been the announcer at home games. I stretch and warm up the kids before home games, boys and girls. I go to soccer, I go to softball. I'm an advocate of the sports. I'm where my feet are. But I don't do that to be liked. I do that because that is what I feel like my job should consist of.
For sure.
Where's your strength coach is my question, right? Where's your strength coach? I want them to say, my strength coach just warmed us up. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Our strength coach is right there watching the game because he knows what's going to happen when we come into the weight room tomorrow, because he has a pulse of the fact that we went extra innings or we went into overtime, or we've had 3 straight games, three tournaments in the past 3 weeks. And so you get a good pulse of the field. And that's what I think I've done, is more just I'm present and you know what you're gonna get from me. Right? So whether you like me or not, that's on you. You know what I mean? Sure. I'm not gonna lose no sleep over that. Now, do we like each other? Yeah, we cool. You know, me and Soto cool, me and Camacho cool, and I've been cool with everybody who I've worked with and worked for. We're gonna bump heads sometimes. I welcome that, because that means that we really working. Like, what football coaches don't, what basketball coaches don't, what teammates don't have interaction with. It's like, no, bro, stop doing that. Hey, stop doing this, and why don't you do this? And we're mad at each other for a good week. You know what I'm saying? I welcome that, because as long as it's professional, you ain't calling me, you ain't talking to me crazy. You know what I mean? As long as it's professional, we can disagree on things, right? I could be mad at you professionally for a day, a week, something like that. But what we gonna do? We gonna get back at it. We gonna talk. We gonna figure something out. We gonna compromise. And what I think they've seen from me is just consistency. 1, he's gonna be here all the time.
For sure.
Whenever we need him, he's gonna be here. 2, he's not gonna half-ass his training. He is gonna train for real. Now he's gonna stand on his horse, and he's gonna do exactly what we're asking him to do, right? Or what he feels is best for the program. And that's what I think is most important, is that they look, and if you ask them, tell me 100%, does he do what he thinks is best? Yes. Does he work hard? Yes. Does he work consistently? Yes. You know what I'm saying? That's what they know they're gonna get from me as a strength coach, and that's what I really feel like at the end of the day, man. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but like, when I'm done with things, when I'm done with life, and people have me as a strength coach, I want people to be like, hey, that dude can coach. He can coach his ass off. That dude knows strength coach. He was the best strength coach I had. Or he was, he knows what he's talking about. And so, sometimes I've even paused and asked, like coaches and players alike, yo, do you trust me? You're asking a whole lot of questions right now.
They look at you.
Do you trust me? And they'll pause and they'll be like, yeah, I trust you. You know what I'm saying? All right, bet. It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But yes, we're definitely gonna do 4 sets today. Yeah, we're gonna do 6 sets today. Yeah. Yes, we're gonna do. Yeah, I know. We normally do 4. We're gonna do 6 today. Yes, do you trust me? All right, let's do this. Yeah. And so sometimes, like football coaches or basketball coaches or baseball coaches are like, I really wanted to do this. So I'll give you an example. Me and Soto agreed on game day lifts. And he didn't do it exactly the way I wanted him to do it. Yeah. But he trusted me to be able to do a game day lift. For sure. And it's like, I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I've been hearing about it. I wanted a potentiation lift a little closer to kickoff. Yeah. Right. He wanted something earlier in the morning so that they can recover. You know what? I'll take it because what we're doing is compromising. I want a game day lift. This is game day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're lifting. You're giving them to me. Yeah. And as heavy and as hectic as that game day schedule is, you're trusting me to have your hands on your varsity athletes before a big football game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the process, I think, is less about being liked by them. Yeah, we may joke around. Yeah. Me and Soto have been out together. Me and, Camacho, we joke all the time. You know what I mean? So, we're cool. Yeah. But once again, look, I'm not here to be your friend. I got a job to do, and I got to do my job well. And if we're not winning, and your team is getting hurt left and right, and you don't trust me, and I don't trust you, then we ain't doing nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't gonna last.
And I think that you talked a lot about, coaches being able to trust you and stuff. And I think for any young strength coach out there, anybody starting a new program, that's what it's about. It's about basically, are you showing up to work and doing your job? Because if you're doing those 2 things, showing up and doing your job, then you can get a quote unquote a little bit more freedom from those coaches like, hey coach, let's do a game day lift. Now you might have to compromise, like you said, we're like, hey, we're gonna lift on Friday and we play on Friday, but I'm not gonna let you lift them right after school at 4:30, which is probably what you're leaning towards, that potentiation. Right. Instead, we're gonna do it at 8 a.m. So it's like, cool, you trust me enough to get this game day lift in, but it's something I learned years and years ago is that these sport coaches are judged on wins and losses, and strength coaches are kind of judged on how we feel about you. Yeah. But there's nothing really tangible, because you can say this strength coach is great, nobody ever gets injured, and it's like, well, in reality, maybe the ATs aren't recording all the injuries and stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of skewed, right? But for all the young coaches out there, coaches building new programs and stuff, definitely getting the trust of those head coaches, showing your work. Hey, look, this is the science behind what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. They don't have to understand it. I'm that same way in regards to you don't have to agree with what I do, but if you trust me and trust that my knowledge and experience is what got me this opportunity, get out of my way and give me the ball.
Trust me, respect me.
To write the program and implement the program. And then if you have questions, then we can always sit down and meet, because I feel like if I can't defend my program, then you should probably fire me and bring in another strength coach, because what are we doing and why? And if you can't explain that, then you probably ain't got no business doing what you're doing. So the relationships part is huge with your coordinators and other coaches. And like you said, and I used to be this way, I wanted people to like me and I wanted people to big up me and my program and everything. And then I realized none of this matters. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if your coaches are sending you their teams consistently throughout the year, and they're, sometimes they got to cancel lifts, it happens. But if you have a team that comes in consistently, that is their way of telling you, we trust you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't have to verbally say, Coach Walden, I trust you with my team. I trust you with our system. No. Hey, Coach Walden, I'm going to give them to you Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And you look up and it's like, dang, this team ain't missed a lift. Outside of a school holiday, this team has been in the weight room 3 times a week for 4 months straight. Yeah. That's trust, right? It may not feel like trust, because like you said, you might butt heads sometimes, or hey, I'm gonna ramp up their percentages because next week's a holiday and I'm not gonna get them for X amount of days. Oh, well, I don't think that they should go that heavy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we can have the difference in opinions, but like, they still coming in.
Right.
They're still coming in. They still gonna hit this 85% for a double.
I found that the best way, I've really tried better or harder to build relationships with the athletes, way more so than the coaches.
Yeah.
And it hurts. It hurts me to an extent, right?
Yeah.
It hurts me when it comes to building my career. That a lot of coaches are like, a lot of coaches even here would be like, I mean, he talks to me with like just in the weight room and that's it. You know what I mean? But that's because I'm locked in on the athletes, right? I felt this, and this is why. When I first started as a strength coach, there was a coach who told me, kind of yelled across the weight room, like, "Hey, make him lift 185. He's doing 110 right now."
Yeah.
And I said, "Make him." And the athlete heard him. The athlete was like, "Make me."
Yeah.
It was literally just one word that he just was like hung up on. Make.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was like, "Hey, bro, I ain't gonna make you do nothing."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I do need you to lift 185. And he's like, "I can't do 185. He gave me whatever reason. I don't even remember what the reasons were. I think it was a knee guy. I think he had rehabbed and he was back. But he was kind of, nervous about, actually throwing that amount of weight up. He's like, bro, I'm not doing that. And I realized at that point, we had to have some I'm like, "Bro, what is wrong?" Like, he's like, "My knee is swelling up." And he don't want to hear it, his strength coach don't want to hear it, but my knee is swelling up, bro, I can't do that. And the dude's almost in tears.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, here's the thing. I'll advocate for you.
Yeah.
But you gotta at least attempt to 135 to show.
Put a plate on.
Yeah, put a plate on to show me that you're trying, and then to show him that you're trying. You know what I'm saying? And then if you say, I do 135 and it is painful, I can't do 185 because the 135, you know what I'm saying? And so I realized at that point that it was important to build the relationships with the athletes because once again, I talked about Kevin Strong, who had the shoulder injury, right? He was a dude, the dude was all conference and still he's been in the NFL 5 years, you know what I'm saying? He's like, "Bro, I'm good on strength." So he was like, why am I here? I was first team all conference.
Yeah.
I'm going to the league next year. Y'all can't give me 2 weeks to get my shoulder, to be out of pain and get out of a sling. I just got surgery for this university. Yeah. And so part of it had to be, I had to massage him a little bit, not physically, but mentally, where I'm like, "Hey, look, bro, you do understand that everybody has to be accountable. At the end of after 3 or 4 weeks, and I didn't know this dude. We had just met, literally just met. After 3 or 4 weeks, I can say, "Hey, Kev, hey, put your good arm up, way in the air. Yeah. I need you to do that." And so sometimes people hear me even, and I'm like, "Yo, pick that up, man. What's wrong with you?" And they're like, "Yo, man, he talks to these kids crazy." Yeah. And it's like, no. These kids are like my kids. Yeah. They know me. They know me. I know this kid's parents. I know where his parents are from. Yeah. I know what happened this morning because sometimes I get a text message, "Hey, I cussed this kid out before I dropped him off at school. Just know."
Shout out to their parents.
Exactly. But that's where you have to be as a strength coach. So the relationship building is with the athletes, and sometimes with the coaches, I'm like, y'all might come and go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The athletes learning how to deal with an athlete. And they wonder why sometimes I'm like, "No, they'll do it. They'll do it."
Yeah, let me go talk to them.
Exactly. Let me go talk to them. "Hey, man, I need you to get 205 today. 205 today. No excuses. I don't want to hear nothing. 205 today." And then, exactly. And then, sometimes the coaches are like, "I don't know if you can do 205. Let him do it. Yeah. I just talked to him. Yeah. Let him get 205. And so, man, especially with the football players, and I told you I was a private guy earlier. A lot of these athletes, I have their older siblings. Yeah. So we have, and their parents had paid.
They knew what time it was.
Yeah, they know what time it is with me. Yeah. So, but like I'm big on if I care who likes me. Yeah. Between the athletic coordinator or the athlete, and our athletic director even told me this. Just do right by the kids, and everything else is gonna follow. Do right by the athlete, and everything else will follow. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my approach.
No, that's big time. So So I got a scenario for you. I just want to see how you handle this situation.
Alright.
You've definitely been through this situation before. And so the scenario is, okay, it's the beginning of a workout. You're explaining the workout to everybody and everything. And in the back, you got two kids.
Don't tell me they're talking.
Oh man, they talking, ha, kikiing.
Yeah.
Here's what sets me up. One of the kids even has his body turned away from you, so he's not even facing you, okay? So you got two athletes. You got athlete A, stud athlete. Wherever college he wants to go to, he can go, right? Athlete A.
Yeah.
He's the one telling the jokes and everything to athlete B, okay? Athlete B, he's the guy, ERW, eat, ride, watch.
Yeah.
This kid will never play a down for you.
We call them 40-40 guys. 40 points up, 40 points down.
I like it. Hey, this guy's a 50-50 guy. You gotta be about 50, okay?
Right.
So you got athlete A, who's your stud athlete, laughing, telling jokes to athlete B, who's sitting there obviously listening. How do you handle those two kids? Okay, I want you to explain how you handle it, and I'll give you how I handle it.
Both of them getting out the weight room. So,
I want you to like, we're in the weight room right now. I want to hear what
get out.
Yeah.
Literally, get out. And I pause
Yeah.
so that they can understand that I'm serious.
Yeah.
They know at this point. It's been done so many times that now your warning is me just stopping what I'm explaining. So I'm like, hey guys, so today we got front squats. We're going 5 sets of 5. And then they'll usually stop talking if that's the case. That's your warning.
Yeah.
If I turn my back again and I explain, hey, so like I said, 5 sets of 5, I really need you to focus on getting the depth of yo, get out right now. Walk out of the door right now. And usually no explanation, no alibi.
Yeah.
Usually the alibi is, I was explaining to him, I got the explanation.
Yeah.
And you know not to talk when I'm talking. I've even asked the kids, I asked them even like this past summer, hey, just random, what's one way you can get me mad? What's something you would do to get me mad?
Yeah.
And all the kids, even the middle school kids would be like, talk while you're talking. Yeah, because I'm explaining safety things, I'm explaining goals, I'm explaining the whole flow of the workout. If you don't hear what I'm saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You think you're just gonna look up and be like, all right, cool, front squat. No, y'all don't read. Y'all don't pay no attention. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm explaining those things. So yeah, I'm kicking them out. And I don't care if you're a stud athlete. The studs know they get the same treatment as everybody else. I don't care if we got a game today and you're the stud athlete, you know, you're still getting out. For sure. And when you get out, depending on how I feel, there's probably some punishment to go along with that. But you know, what's funny is the punishment. I used to go out and punish them, right?
Yeah.
All right, bear crawls. All right, monster walk. All right, push-ups.
Yeah.
Up downs. And then I'm like, wait a minute. The kids in the weight room are not getting me now.
Yeah.
Because I'm out here punishing the two kids who were doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So you know what I did? I just said, all right, hey, get out. And I don't tend to. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Sit right there so I can see you.
Yeah.
And just sit there. You can't participate in the workout today.
Yeah.
And that drives me crazy. They were like, Coach, can I get back in?
Yeah.
No, you can't get back in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will let them back in. You know, it just depends, right?
Yeah,
So is this your first time doing this? I'm gonna make you miss a good quarter, maybe a half of the workout.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so that you understand, man, I don't want to miss another workout like that. Man.
Yeah, no.
And when I want your sport coach to see you and say, why are you sitting outside?
Yeah.
Because the coach said I was talking. Okay, cool. All right, cool. And usually they always back me. All right, cool. Well, stay right there. And every now and then, just, you know, if a kid really needs a lift, like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Can you get in? And I'm just like, no.
He can wait.
He can come in after school. Now I want some of his time.
Yeah.
He can come in after school, and I'm telling you, Croc, like, bro, I don't deal with it anymore. It just doesn't happen. Like, kids, very rarely, they're usually a freshman.
Yeah.
Or usually a kid that, like, is
new to the program.
Yep, new to this. And they'll learn real quick. And usually kids will tap them like, yo,
Yeah.
chill. He gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you. I see him tap them too. So I'm like, yeah,
and you
get him
let them
right.
make it sometimes too. It's like I don't have to correct that behavior because your teammates are correcting
Oh yeah.
So even though this is the second time I done heard like the snickering and everything, the fact that your teammates took it upon themselves to be like, hey, yo, chill. Hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to say anything. So I'm not really letting it slide, but I'm letting it slide.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because I'm that's my same approach. I used to be the coach that was like, oh, we got somebody talking, get your feet high.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it progressed, it was like, yo, like some of these kids are the same in the classroom and in practice. They're immature. They don't know how to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
So let's teach them, right? And then like you said, I could take you out to the hallway and punish you. I could take you outside and punish you, but now I'm taking away from the other 30, 40, 50 kids in the weight room who are looking for my coaching because that's what I get paid to do.
Exactly.
So I've been on that wave for probably the past year where you're better than me. I don't give a warning because they know like, hey, if I'm up here, hey guys, so today you take a look, Blue, we got front squat. Hey, who said that? Yeah, go ahead, get out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, get out. And what I've learned is kids love the attention, but they don't love being embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna give you that attention.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy, hey, go ahead, go outside.
Yeah.
Go. No, you good, go. Matter of fact, you can take whoever you was talking, both of y'all can go outside.
And that's the thing, I always tell them too, they I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
But you just can't be here.
Yeah.
Because you can't hear the safety instructions.
And when you say it just like that, it confuses them because I feel like they're so used to being disciplined with like yelling and cursing.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, my man, are we supposed to talk when I'm talking? No? All right, cool. So because of that disrespect, you're going to go outside and hang out.
Right.
And so it's one of them deals where, you got to make the punishment something where it's like, oh, dang, I can't work out, poor me, whatever. And then it's like, there's been times when I forget about the kids.
That's why I make them sit in front of the window so I can see them.
I need to do that. Yeah. Hey, y'all two get out. We'll finish the warm up, or I'll finish explaining what we're doing, and then like 4 or 5 minutes will go by, and the coach will be like, "Hey, coach, do you want to let such and such be?" I forgot they was coach. Go get them. But it's also one of those deals. It's a good life lesson. It's like, yo, you can't screw up and then decide your punishment.
Yeah.
So you are, and I tell the kids all the time, like if I'm talking and I'm explaining the lift, or I call for your attention and you're talking, you're blatantly being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like there is no like, oh, but they're like, no. And like I tell them, especially now working in the high school setting, hey, if I call for your attention, I give you that double whistle, or I ask for your eyes, and you're still talking, what if there's an announcement that comes on and they're saying, please evacuate the building or shelter, and you're over here hi, key, and I can't hear the announcement, I can't keep you safe.
Right.
So when I hit them with that serious note, then it's kind of like, oh dang, like it is important, and that's when you get more
That's
kids.
the thing, let's keep it real, like we keep them safe.
Yeah.
Right? First and foremost, like if I give you my kid, the least you can do is give me back my kid.
In the same way
that I gave them to you, right? If you don't make them better, give them back the same. Don't bring them back worse. You know what I mean? So like, that's the thing, is we have to keep them safe.
Yeah.
So once, same way you said, I might blow the whistle and it's like, yo, I need to hear the announcement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen to this. I've seen 3 people with an overhead movement with no clips on their bars.
Yeah.
And y'all know the rule with overhead movements, we need clips on the bars. Hey, I've seen 3 people doing bicycle crunches underneath somebody that's doing this. That's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Do you guys understand? So I need the second person to move and be on the Diamond J.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to hear that explicit instruction, like, okay, I'm the second person. Blue, yes, Blue. Blue is going to be on the Diamond J. Okay, everybody got that? Give me a thumbs up. Cool, get back to work.
Yeah.
And that's how quick it can be. Mm-hmm. Or, and it depends on phases too, right? Like the phase we're in football, we're in command weights right now.
Yeah.
So we're not in music blasting, laughing, okay, what you need, and add an extra 10, all right, cool. No, it's like, first man up, ready, down, stay down. Joseph, shift a little bit to your left, you're favoring your right leg.
Yeah.
Kenny, a little bit lower, a little bit deeper. Ready, up, and everybody comes up, right? We can't do that. And then when I say next man on the bar, everybody add a 10, or everybody get to 65%. Mm-hmm. When I do that, if you're talking, how did you hear that if you're in the back corner? You know what I mean? If you're in the back corner and running your mouth, So I always say, right now we got a lot of coaches in here during football. So the phase we're in, if you're not a coach, you can't talk.
Yeah.
And if you're not having a conversation with the coach, you can't talk. And so I'm like, the talking needs to just minimize.
Yeah.
And that way we can learn and we can move. And now when we get past past spring ball,
yeah.
Oh man, we having fun in the weight room because we understand exactly what's going on, So
it's just because you say, you can't talk, man. You know how many times I've almost lost my mind because I'm like, hey, who's that talking? It'd be a coach talking to another coach.
Boy.
And I got to a point where like, why is somebody talking? And I hear where it's coming from and I look. Oh, my bad, coach, my bad. And it's like, Or I'd be like, hey man, should nobody be in here talking?
It's a pet peeve.
And then it gets real quiet and it's like, you hear the chest pat. My bad, coach. Because it's like you said, like it's a safety deal. It's keeping y'all safe. It's just being able to command the room and have your attention.
Hey man, we don't do that, but we don't go to soccer practice and talk while the coach is addressing the team.
Hey, when
coach is addressing their team and we're at practice, right? I'm a strength coach. I'm at your practice. I don't say anything while the coach is addressing the whole team.
Yeah.
I can have my conversation with another coach later. You know what I'm saying? Or a player later. So y'all do the same thing, especially when we closed walls. Your words.
I don't think a strength coach has ever gone out to a sport coach's practice, pulled a kid aside and been like, "Hey man, you need to make sure when you're doing your cleans, you got to bring your feet in a little bit. Your feet a little too wide. When you get that bar up, you got to throw them elbows right. Like, I don't think a strength coach has ever done that, but it's the opposite. Like, hey man. Why we talking about practicing?
Right.
We're talking about adjustments for a game, and we in here lifting weights. Like they say, like keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is weights right now.
Yeah.
You ain't up in study hall. Hey, Jeremy, when you finish that question number 6, come see me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm showing you on these run fits here. Nah, let's get our work done.
Right.
And then once that work is done, then we can talk about X's and O's. Let's get this 25-minute work. 25 minutes, coach. We can't be locked in for 25 minutes.
That's all I ask for, man.
Let's get this 25 minutes in, and when we are done, hell, if I'm really working, we're gonna get done at 24, so you're gonna have that extra 60. So now we break and we head into the locker rooms. You can go to the whiteboard, you can talk about all of the in game.
All you want.
Yeah. But no, man, I mean, that's pretty much all the questions and stuff. You have any questions for me? I don't know very many podcast hosts that have the guests ask them questions.
Hey man, I'm gonna ask you one. I might even have two.
Okay.
First thing, I ain't gonna lie to you. Like this happened the other day. I had an athlete. I can't even be super specific, but I'm gonna tell you this. Athlete. I said something to an athlete about. We were outside, literally outside. I was running my truck. I forgot my whistle, man. So I went back to my truck, and I see the athlete walking towards the building. And I said something about her. Hey, I didn't see you in the weight room. I got a sheet for you. I showed you my sheets earlier. I got a sheet for you. It's telling you everything you need to do for the month of December. And it's December 7th.
Yeah.
And I ain't seen you. And so she's like, all right, coach, I'll be in there. Well, her mom had just dropped her off. So her mom was, ear hustling, which is okay, right? And so I noticed her mom. I had never met her mom before. So she looks at me. She says, are you one of her coaches? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm her strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
One, she called me. She said, "Oh, you're her weightlifting coach?" I said, "No. I'm her strength and conditioning coach." And she said, "Oh well, I'm glad you're getting on her because her last strength coach, she said her last weightlifting coach, he hurt her. She hurt her shoulder." And I said, I knew where she went to school at last, which was veterans.
Yeah.
I said, hey, we're not gonna do that now.
Yeah.
I said, I talk to him all the time, right?
Yeah.
She said, oh yeah? I said, yeah, I could ask him what happened, but I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm willing to put money on the fact that he didn't hurt her.
Yeah.
And she said, no, well, her when she was there, her shoulder was hurting and this and that. I said, just because her shoulder was hurting doesn't mean, she said it was from the weight room? She said, yes, she said it was from the weight room. I said, we'll talk.
Yeah.
I said, we'll talk. But, I guess like one of the things is, for me, the biggest annoyance is, when you attribute your injury to the weight room. Not saying weight room injuries don't happen.
For sure.
But my pet peeves are attributing your injury to the weight room. 2, another one is, what was I going to say? Calling me a weightlifting coach.
Yeah.
What are your 2 pet peeves as a strength coach? Or even just one pet peeve as a strength coach?
Pet peeve? I hate when coaches remix my exercises. like I show them an exercise. Hey, we're doing something simple, med ball slams, right? We're up on our toes to get that triple extension, right? Med balls over the head, and then we are slamming it in between our toes, right? Let's say I'm just doing a simple movement like that, and then the coach comes over and is like, "Ah, man, you got to jump and get off the ground," and it's like, that's not what I'm teaching them to do. Like, that's not how I want them to do things, right? So I hate when coaches like remix my exercises, or kind of like I said earlier, when they're spotting exercises that have no business being spotted. Typically, the athletes know better. Like, hey, front squat, if you don't have the spotter, dump the bar, fall backwards, live to fight another day. Back squat, drop it on the catches. That's why we put the catches where they are. Fall forward, right? Not, hey, coach, put one hand on their chest and one hand on their low back to help them stand up. Like, so when they remix things like that, like I've shown you specifically how to spot. Double club underneath. When they go down, you go down. If they get in a compromising position, hands on the chest, try to scoop them up. If you feel like, hey, I can't get them up, tell them to fall forward and drop the bar. Like, that is the only acceptable way to spot somebody back squatting. When the coach comes in there and remixes it and tries to grab the bar, and it's like, coach, you don't even work out.
Can you high pull 195 pounds?
You don't even work out, and you got your hands on the bar, calling yourself spotting. So that's a pet peeve of mine from a coaching standpoint. From an athlete standpoint, I hate when athletes look at you trying to save them because they're injured, like we talked about. Like, okay, cool, so doctor put you in an air cast for your foot, like you're in a boot, right? And they didn't tell you that you couldn't do any physical activity, but because you're in the boot, you just assume you can't do any physical activity. Hey, look, let me go grab this rolling chair from my desk and I'm gonna sit you in it, and everything that you do in the weight room, you're gonna be in the chair. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing them like leave the chair behind and like actually get up and walk around. But it's the kids that, try to find ways out. That bothers me, because for me, I'm like, I didn't have a strength coach when I was in high school. My strength coach was a coach who did pole vault at Baylor, and it was like, hey, he ran track collegiately, so he's in charge. And even then it was like bench, incline, back squat, clean, and that's all we did 3 times a week, maybe twice a week, but there was no rhyme and reason. It was all like 3 sets of 8. I'm talking about 8 reps on cleans. Crazy. And so it's ironic that this past year I was talking to one of our coaches, and I was telling her I was frustrated because I'm like, man, like I have all this knowledge and experience. I'm explaining to the kids like this is what we're doing and why we're doing it, and I don't really have to. Like a teacher isn't sitting there and saying, hey, this is my lesson plan for the next 16 weeks. They're saying like, hey, this is what we're doing this week. And they may go into detail, but they don't go into detail every single day, every single week they're teaching. So I feel like as a strength coach, like, hey, we're gonna squat, we're gonna hinge, push, pull, triple extension. Like, we're gonna do those things because I believe that makes you a better athlete. But I was talking to this coach and I was like, I'm just frustrated because I feel like these kids don't wanna lift. And she was like, well, not every kid wants to get better. When she said that, I kind of looked at her and I was like, wait, what? She was like, yeah. She was like, not everybody that plays sports wants to get better at the sport that they play. And when she said that, I was kind of like, nah, like nobody wants to just be average. But then she was just like, no, like some people are okay with their skill set and don't want to improve it. And so when she said that, I was kind of mind blown because I'm like, dang, that would make sense why some of these kids are okay with skipping out in the weight room. We're doing speed fun. I'm trying to help teach you how to run efficiently so you can be faster. And there's kids that are like, nah, I don't want to go. My pinky hurts. I don't want to go outside. And it's like, your pinky ain't got nothing to do with running these wickets, But it's the fact that some of these kids are okay with where they are at and they don't want to get better. And that's a pet peeve of mine because I'm like, then why are you playing? And I take high school athletics serious, mainly varsity. Freshman, you're trying to figure it out. JV, you stuck with it, for 2 years. Now you're on JV. Okay, now you're a junior. Now you had an opportunity to make varsity, but now, if you're a junior on JV, that should be an indication that like you're not him. You're not her, right? But then if we're talking about varsity sports, like this is varsity, and these coaches, they're getting a stipend, they're getting paid to coach this sport, so they're not doing it for free, right? Also, a lot of coaches put a lot of time and effort. So like I know our football coaches, for example, we have a game, we get back 11 o'clock at night, we meet, most of the coaches head out at 12. They're back up there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, breaking down film before the kids come into treatment at 8, and before they come in to lift at 9. So it's like, these coaches put in a lot of time and energy to coach you, right? Especially football. And then they're coming in on Sunday for a few hours. So it's like, if the coaches are doing everything to be the best that they can be, and I'm doing everything I can to be the best strength coach I can be, you got to give me more than just showing up, you know? And so that's a pet peeve and a trigger for me, is because it's like, if you don't want to be the best that you can be, then why are you playing high school?
Why are you doing it?
Go play club.
Yeah. I tell them that all the time. I tell them, you know, sometimes I'm a little disrespectful. I say, if you don't like it, if you don't want to be great, if you don't want to win, if you don't want to get better, go to another high school.
Oh, I tell them all the time.
I'll name another high school.
I tell them to go to Judson all the time.
If
you don't like it here, go to Judson. We school of choice. You can go to Judson or Wagner, because here we gonna work.
I don't even tell them that.
But they don't realize though, if they was to leave, they gonna work at Judson and Wagner.
Yeah.
So
that's why I say like homes.
Oh, you say that? Yeah. I tell them go play club. Go to the Y. Go to YMCA.
I tell them, you know, I always say that. I'm like, look, man, the standard here is excellence, man.
Yeah.
Like, whether we've achieved it on a season in, season out basis, that doesn't mean that we're not aiming for greatness every time. You know what I'm saying? Like, no coach here is cool with not winning the district.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no coach is cool with having more losses than wins. You know what I'm saying? So like, and, you know, something I do, to be honest with you, like, I give them what they need in athletics. Yeah. But the kids who come outside of athletics, that's why I'm here so early, because I'm like, hey, we got breakfast club early in the morning. You know, breakfast club is, you can come in as early as 6:30, and you can get in and work out before first period, right? Now, breakfast club, that's when you really gonna get something. Yeah. Because now I know you're showing up on your own time. You woke up extra early. You woke up to get here at 6:30.
Especially if you had to get a ride. Like, it's not college where you drive and you live on campus. Like,
and even so, like, even the kids who drive, like, think about a high school kid who wakes up at 6 o'clock. They don't wake up that early, but 6 o'clock, 5:30 to come to be here when you don't have to be at school till 8:30, 8:45, right? That's big time. That's big time. So now I'm gonna give you everything that you asked for. I'm not gonna wear you out. I'm just gonna give you, if you have a question, I'm gonna make sure I answer your question to the fullest extent. You actually get a workout, you get a sheet, you get a nutrition sheet, you get a calendar. Now, if you just come during athletic, are you only coming because your coach told you to come? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll give you something because you're here. You know what I'm saying? But the kids who get the most out of it are the kids who invest their own time, effort. Hey, coach, can I talk to you after school? I got some questions. Absolutely, you can come talk to me after school. You know what I'm saying? So like, they really get something out of it, and those end up being the stuff. Yeah. Those are. I've seen some JV 11th grade kids who come in before and after school who are just tired of being B team, tired of being, second, overlooked for everything. Yeah. And even like, this past week we ran 40s. It sounds like a small victory, but I had 2 guys who ran in the 4s for the first time ever. Yeah. They're skilled guys, but they ran in the 4s, but they were just slow, unathletic guys, but they show up every day. Yeah. Day in, day out. Before school, they come in after school. I'm like, man, you sure? What are you eating, man? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? And then they went from 5.2 40s to 4.9, 4.85. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a huge victory. Like, you might not ever be him on the football field. Yeah. But you at least have something where you're like, to see them walk tall and bang their chest like, let's go, 4.8, 40. Yeah, because you were a 5.2 guy last year. You know what I'm saying? We can win very many games with everybody running 4.8, but if we can go from 5.2 to 4.8, like, we're making hell. Yeah. Imagine what you do, and then imagine how good your body looks now. Yeah. How confident you are. That, man, if I stick with something on a regular basis, like, I might not be the best player, but I can be the strongest player. I can be top 10%. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, man. So. But yeah, I mean, we always get on these, these little rabbit holes, pet peeves. I got so many of them, bro. And and I think that's why, like I said, I want to do this podcast, man. Is like, we can talk X's and O's and exercise selection and prescription. Man, go read a book. Yeah. Read a book. Go to your local university. Reach out to that strength coach and watch them work out. But I wanted this to be kind of a platform where we talk about things that are strength and conditioning related, but not as detailed as far as like,
oh, this is my go-to exercise, and this is how I prescribe it, this is how I teach it. Like, oh, that's good, and there's a lot of great coaches out there that can do that a lot better. But you know what? I like these conversations because these are conversations that I feel like as strength coaches, we either have amongst our strength coach circle, or we have amongst ourselves. Like I talk to myself, and sometimes I get frustrated, and I'm like, I need to meet with these coaches today, and I need to tell them about themselves. And then I realize, man, I'm hot right now.
Yeah.
Let's do this in 24, and then 24 hours goes by, and I done forgot about it. And it's not a big deal, and so it's one of those deals where like I want this to just kind of grow and be one of those deals where like coaches can listen to this and say, hey, you know what? Like I've had a situation where I've had athlete A, who's a stud athlete, that the reason why they act like this is because nobody tells them anything. They're Mr. Big Shot or Miss Big Shot going to big time U, and nobody wants to tell them like, hey, we're not doing that here. But then you get the strength coach and people look at us crazy like, hey, look, I don't care if you got 4 stars, 5 stars. I don't care if you're graduating in December. You don't have to be here.
You don't have to be here.
That's one thing I'll never forget. When I was in college, man, I was playing football, and one of the assistant strength coaches, I'd sit there and I was that guy to complain, like, we gotta do what? We gotta do this, we gotta do this percent. Like, he'd be like, hey man, you don't have to be here.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, nah, man, I do. He's like, nah, you can
tell
go.
that all the time.
You can go right now.
And I told him that, especially in the summertime, man. Like I'm like, hey guys, hey look, I want this group to be, people who want to work.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to work, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
You just can't be in here. Because
it's not personal.
Right, it's not personal. I'm not mad at you. If you even wanted to quit, I'll still come to your graduation. I'll still give you a hug, and I still want you to be something.
Yeah.
But you can't be in here right now. You
Right
know what I'm saying? And they understand that. And I've had people walk out like, hey, bro, like you're right. I don't need to be.
This ain't for me.
That's cool. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But just like the basketball team doesn't allow everybody who tries out to be a part of the basketball team, right?
They make
If
cuts.
you can't hoop, you can't hoop.
Yeah.
Hooping might be for you, but not here. Not this team. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's a big deal, man. Like that's a big deal. Another thing too, I was thinking pet peeves is how we getting everything off my chest.
Go ahead.
What's it? College coaches, big time. That drives me crazy.
I've been left on red. I'm glad you said that. That's another reason why I do this podcast, is because I've done podcasts in the past where coaches have reached out to me, hey, Coach Croc, I heard your podcast. And it's like, I did it like 16, 17 months ago. Hey, can you elaborate on this? And it's like, okay, if somebody's taking time to listen to a podcast that I'm on, and then look me up on social media, DM me asking me for help, I feel obligated to help that person because this person is seeking information that I have, or at least that I can point them in the right direction. Whereas some coaches will be like, nah, you got to get it out the mud like I did.
Like I did.
You didn't get it all on your own.
Profession backwards.
Yeah, and most definitely that's a pet peeve. I think part of it is talk about egos. The ego of like, who are you? Where are you at? Nah. Y'all ain't nobody.
And see, that's another thing. See, PSA, where's the camera at? Right there. PSA, we are not worse or inferior strength coaches because we coach high school.
Facts.
There's just a stability level. Well, I was military, man, so like, I don't feel like moving to Iowa. You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially not for $55,000 a year and getting fired 2 years later.
Yeah.
You feel me? So like, and I'm not throwing shots at college coaches, because anybody who knows me knows I would coach in college. I would go to the collegiate level, and if the fit were right. But what I'm saying is, we coach baseball strength and conditioning, softball strength and conditioning, soccer strength and conditioning, basketball strength and conditioning, football strength and conditioning, middle school strength and conditioning, all within 30-minute increments. And then it's get kids who are not necessarily good, not necessarily good athletes, not necessarily invested, coaches who are not necessarily good, coaches who are not necessarily invested, coaches who may just be coaching tennis just because I'm not throwing shots. But
an opening for tennis.
They had an opening for tennis.
Yeah,
so like we are not inferior strength coaches because we coach in high school. It's just the level of athlete we have is inferior to the collegiate athlete, the level of athletes that we coach. Plus, we're not even specialized. We could be, but we're not, right? So we are not inferior. So I feel like when coaches see those DMs, right? When coaches, collegiate coaches or professional coaches see those DMs or see us reach out, they look and they're like, high school strength coach. Oh, okay. And I feel like they're turning their nose up at us sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
I can insecure? I'm not insecure. I just swear that's what I think that is. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can attest I was that guy because I spent, 7 years at the collegiate level, and I used to think like, high school strength and conditioning is easy. Like anybody can do it. And then as I progressed and I met more coaches, I realized like, man, high school doesn't really have a lot of strength and conditioning coaches, and there's a need for it.
Yeah.
But then I even realized like, this is not easy, because once I got to the high school level, I realized like, some of these kids are not athletes and they're just playing the sport.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like we're over here trying to like teach how to hip hinge. We got to teach homeboy how to walk opposite arm, opposite leg.
Yeah, for real.
Forget the stance. Like he's having issues just every day, just walking and
sit like
and
this,
posturing,
and
right?
Can't walk straight,
yeah. So
like,
I definitely appreciate you saying that, man. Because shout out to Missy Mitchell McBeth. She said it best. High school strength and conditioning is not an entry level job, and I think that a great high school strength coach could be a great collegiate strength coach, but a great collegiate strength coach may not be a great high school strength coach, because when I worked at the college level, right, I'm getting guys on scholarship, which means you got a little bit of athleticism to you.
Not only that, they're getting perch, right? They're getting tools and software, technology. They have sports nutrition people to help them.
Yeah.
They have, you know what I'm saying? So like you have sports science people to help you, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we're running 40s and I want to get a top 10. Guess who's doing the data input? Me.
Yeah.
And then guess who's doing the data analysis? Me. And then I come up with the plan. But when you're on the collegiate level, you're instructing them to run the 40s. You make a phone call, send a text to sports data. Hey, can you come out and time these 40s for me? And by the time you get back in the weight room, the top 10 is up on the TV.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And then when they're leaving the weight room, they have a shake ready for them. And then when they're in the rack, you're telling them, you moved your bar at 0.40 meters per second. I need you to move a little bit faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're able to see everything and help. Us, we're like, oh man, I got 90 kids. All right. Well, these kids right here are going to be my experienced kids on the right.
Yeah.
And so I'll have less, and I'll have to make sure they have good spotters, and they should be good. I'll keep my focus on these 3 racks right here, because these are my inexperienced guys, and these are kids who might potentially hurt themselves. They're doing just goblet squats. You know what I'm saying? Like,
then, oh wait, what is that? Oh man, fire alarm.
Yeah.
All right, everybody out. Okay, and then by the time they clean the building, we come back inside. Hey, coach, we got 12 minutes.
Yeah, we got 12 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I had a block A and a block B.
Right.
So we're gonna get block A. And I mean, those are definitely things that you don't have to deal with as far as at the collegiate level, like you said. So definitely working at the high school level, there are a lot of different challenges and stuff, and our job isn't easy. And I hope that this podcast can be a soundboard for coaches who have similar frustrations or go through similar experiences, but also learn from just ways that we approach things and stuff like that. And so
Shout out to people like Missy too. People like Missy who push the profession forward. People like yourself who push the profession forward. Like, we're not threatened on somebody taking our job. So here's all the information. Here's a forum, and we need to start, continuing. We see the same people in San Antonio. It's about 8 of us who come out, and it needs to be more people who are interested, people who love the profession. Because we do this, man, we do this because we love it. We don't do it because we have to.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure. Well, I want to thank Coach Jeremy Walden being the first guest on TheCrocShow. I want to thank all my listeners. I want to thank Simply Faster, the official sponsor of TheCrocShow. That's all I got. I don't really know how to close a podcast. So.